Hello and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2009's The Last House on the Left remake, which was directed by Dennis Iliadas. I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us again for the second time, Will Rahardjo. Will, welcome back to the show. Sorry, I kind of had a stroke there.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Oh yeah, last time we were going over the original Last House on the Left. So I'm kind of excited to go over the new one, or the newer one, not the new one.
It's a legacy. You're back again.
Yeah, exactly.
I listened to the old one recently because, yeah, dude, that was from our original wheel back in 2020, so it really has been a while.
Damn, it's been a bit.
It has, but it was like saying to you, Will, it was just like, yeah, you were like that like messed up guy that showed us like the most fucked up stuff. I was like, we're kind of mean.
Those are the best days of my life. When we go to, like, Alec would be like, hey man, come over to Will's house. We're just gonna watch a movie. I was like, what movie? He's like, you'll see. Like, that's always what it was. And I would just love, like, we go up in your whatever that room was, and there's like Legos fucking everywhere.
Oh god, yeah.
Everywhere. And like, you don't go to the bathroom because you'd step on a Lego.
Yeah, it's true.
And you'd be like, all right, like tonight's really messed up movie is
like I spit on your grave or some shit. Like
what was the one with the piano wire and the burlap sack?
Oh, Audition.
Audition. I remember you guys.
Yeah.
We never watched that one, but I remember you guys talking about that like crazy.
Oh yeah, you guys should put that one on the wheel sometime soon.
Yeah, if we do, 100% you're gonna come on for that one, Will, because
yeah, that's a classic. Yeah,
it's one of those instances where like you described it to me, and I think in my head I made it so much scarier than it'll ultimately be when I see it. But you did a very descriptive job when I was young, and I was like, that movie stuck with me. You know, I've never even seen it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely one of those movies that you show your friends just to like scare the shit out of them, and it's good. It's worth watching.
So before we dive into this film, yeah, Will, I guess to continue this, have you seen anything fucked up recently that you would suggest?
Ooh, I actually watched Terrifier 2.
Oh yeah.
Are you guys into that?
We covered it.
Okay, yeah.
Dude, that changed me.
Yeah. I wish that movie came out when we were in high school. I feel like that would have been a good like kind of intro movie to like be like, hey, you want to see a movie? Like, you know, you meet someone, you're like, come on over.
That bedroom scene.
That was why those movies were so fun. Yeah, oh my God.
Like I was thinking about it like in bed that night. I was just like alone. I was like, I'm a different person now. This movie is so like, Eric, you saw the first one, but I told you when we were doing that one.
I didn't see the second one, but you're like,
I was like, you have a daughter. I was like, don't watch it, man. Like,
yeah.
don't.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that because not my daughter, but my wife Shannon. I was watching this movie and she was like, I've seen this, The Last House on the Left, and Sarah Paxton. I've seen her before, and I think I watched this with my friend. And I'm like, Shannon, you would know if you saw this movie, and you would remember it, and you would fucking hate every second of this movie. But no, we talked about it. I was like, I gave her like the quick points, like she's raped and this and that, and she's like, yeah, I definitely didn't see this movie. I'm like, yeah,
you'd definitely remember.
Yeah.
Funny story, actually. Like when I was in high school, I like gathered just a random group of friends to see this movie. Like actually, not even like barely friends, just like it was like people who had no business of seeing this movie.
The 2009 one or the
yeah. Like we saw it in we saw it in theaters.
Same with me and Alec. We saw this in Naples, Florida. Alec, remember that?
Oh,
I do.
19 years ago. Holy.
Yeah.
No, not 19. Is it 19? No, we were 19.
Yeah.
But Will, continue your story.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So like I took a bunch of like random people to see this movie, and they were like, you know, horrified, obviously. And my buddy and his girlfriend, like he just started dating this girl, like made out the entire movie.
What?
And like, yeah. And after that, like one of our friends like already didn't like this guy. She's like, he's kind of a creep. And after that, she's like, okay, now I really don't like this guy.
What kind of movie? Yeah, like this is the movie that you get like turned on. You're like, all right, I think I should go for it now.
Literally the whole movie. I was like, guys, like, can you like stop?
Like they're just making out for an hour and 45 exactly, and then they just unhook their mouths and they see the microwave scene. It's like, what the fuck? Like it was pretty nuts. But speaking of that microwave scene that came out of left field.
Okay, do you guys want to jump right into the end then?
Yeah, sorry.
Let's do that. Sorry, I just brought it up.
Okay,
we're Tarantino in this, you know.
Yeah.
So I was watching this, and I was explaining the ending to somebody, and they were like, "That wouldn't work." And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't it work?" And I was like, "Because microwaves don't work with the door open."
Yeah, right.
And I was like, "Is that? I've never tried it, but have you guys heard that before? Like, is there a safeguard in microwaves that when the door is open, it won't turn on?"
So, it's funny, like one of the few things I actually, because I haven't seen this movie since it came out, like in 2009.
Uh,
And one of the things I remember was actually thinking that. So, like, that's like one of the few things I remember from this movie is like the hand, like basically Aaron Paul getting his hand stuck in the, with the sink and then the microwave.
mm-hmm.
And then the microwave scene, if you actually like refer back to the beginning of the movie, he's like, "Oh, your brother broke the microwave again," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like that's why it worked.
It's an old shitty microwave that's probably just messed up and
Yeah,
somehow will still microwave stuff if there's like a thing in front of it.
Okay.
I got that exact same take because I'm watching the movie the first time in 2009. I don't remember
Yeah.
him fixing a microwave, but that's one of the only things I remember exactly. And
Yeah.
then cut to, I'm watching him like, oh, he's fixing that microwave. He's
Yeah.
prepping. So
Mm.
good, very good point.
It looked like an old shitty like 80s microwave too,
And those things last forever.
Yeah.
I have a fridge in my basement right now that's like, it's clearly from the 70s and it's like the coldest fridge ever.
Yeah, so the ending of the original one, I remember really liking it because, like, obviously it's the same, like, the family kills the rapists or whatever, but he kills him with a chainsaw and the cops come in right as he's doing it and he catches him or whatever. And that was the ending of the original one. This one, I completely forgot to. When they're on the boat, I was like, well, their lives are going to suck now, but I completely forgot that microwave scene. And yeah, so pretty much the worst way to die, I think,
Nah, man. As a dad, I'd start with his foot.
Oh yeah.
He's paralyzed from the neck down, but dude, I would go medieval on his ass. That's way too quick for death. If that happened to my daughter, which I don't even want to think about, like, that's all she wrote. This guy is going through.
You're doing the full body.
Oh yeah, and there's no cops in this movie. There's zero, except the one cop car that goes by when the super bad girl is trying to get out the window. That's the only time you see a cop. I forgot her name, but that's the only other film I've ever seen her in.
No, I know.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called her the same thing too in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, super bad girl.
McLovin's girl. No.
Yeah. There were the cops at the beginning of the movie too. The where it was Buck from Kill Bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The beginning, yeah, let's walk through the movie, actually. Let's start with the beginning. We'll go through it. The beginning is definitely different than the original one. The original one's just kind of like that guy Krug singing a song with the car just driving, right? And they're just kind of talking, right? No, it starts off with her naked in the shower, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does, like see-through through the shower, yeah.
Okay. This one, dude, when the way this started, I was like, okay, this is good, but God, it's so gross when he shows the cop the picture of his kids right as he's killing him.
Yeah.
Something he's never going to see again. I was like, God damn, I forgot how, like, gross that line is.
It's like dripping blood on the picture.
Oof, so
yeah, it was
fucked
rough.
up.
It was rough.
So I'd heard that Wes Craven, he produced this, he was alive during this. I'd heard that a lot of the things that were added were actually things that he wanted in his original film, but he just didn't have the budget for. So I wonder if that scene was actually supposed to be in the original one and Wes Craven actually wrote something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This movie definitely did have like it's made obviously like 30 years later, but it had a much higher budget feel in the original. I mean, like,
oh, for sure, this has a bigger budget than the original.
Yeah.
But just not to go back and forth from this one and the original too much. The two big differences from this one and the original that I thought was Mary dies in the original, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's like the biggest difference is that she's still alive in this one. And the other one is the penis getting bit off, which is the other thing I remember from that movie. Right? Like, where was that? I'm missing a penis getting bit off.
Yeah, they could have done more penis. Well, so they replaced that with the guy getting his hand in the
Yeah. And I read stuff like they didn't want to make it as like, I don't know if this is the right term, gore porn as the original. So they wanted to like keep it more like obviously vicious kills, but not like as gory. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but
like grounded, like more real kind of
more. Yeah, I guess. But Alec, let's keep walking through this one now.
Yeah, so it starts off. Krug is in a police car. He's with these two guys. They're kind of being dicks to him, but like he's an asshole, so he deserves it. He gets out because his girlfriend, son, and brother, the rest of his crew, they get him out, and basically they just go on the run, and they're in some town. I think this one takes place in Oregon, where the original one takes place in Connecticut. And basically it's kind of the same thing. It's like a young girl. She's on a trip with her parents. This is not their real house. This is like their lake house now. The dad's a doctor. He's overworked. And the mom is, I don't know, she kind of seemed like she was just pissed off about everything for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, so the daughter just wants to go off meet her, like, you know, summer friends or whatever. And that's where kind of the movie starts to intertwine with the original one. They're looking for pot. They meet this weird kid, Justin. He says, I'll get you pot. They go back to the motel room, and then the abduction begins.
Right, one other thing before we get the brother obviously passed away.
Yes.
What was it, Brad or Bob or something? I forgot who it was.
Yeah.
But how did he pass away? I'm assuming a boating accident, right?
I think it's kind of vague.
Yeah. Well, because obviously Mary's a swimmer, and the brother seems to be in that realm too. Then there's that only other scene where the dad's like holding a boat. So I wonder if he was in like a boating accident or something.
It's possible. I mean, how fucked up would it be if he's like, actually, he was abducted by a group of people like last year? No,
Yeah.
But no, I don't know how he died. But yeah, so she has a brother. So that's probably why the mom's like, hey.
That's exactly what I was going to say too.
Right. That makes more sense.
This is like a healing trip for them.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
she's like overprotective, and she's like, don't stay out. You know, like, you need to come back tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And McLovin's like girl was like pretty much like, oh, I'm so sorry I never called you, and like stuff like that. It's like, and so it's been pretty recent for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also feels like Sarah Paxton's character is like, you know, probably going to go to like the Olympics or go to college for swimming and sort of thing. And then this other girl's like her college or her high school like summer friend that's like into drugs and stuff. So
it's a prequel to Aquamarine. I don't know if you know that movie, but the swimming. She turns into a mermaid.
Yeah,
I do.
I think that's the movie my wife was talking about. Like, I've seen this movie with Sarah Paxton. Like, you're thinking Aquamarine. You're not thinking Last House on the Left.
It's a much different movie.
Yeah. So the dad, I just wanted to say, did you guys recognize him from anything, or do you know anything about who he is, the actor?
I've seen him in things before, but like, he's one of those dudes that like you see and then you like kind of forget that he's in it.
I know this from when we saw this when we were 19. He's the bad guy from Ghost.
Yep, he's in Ghost, but he's also actually in Friday the 13th Part 6. He's one of the guys that gets killed right in the beginning, which, I don't know, that's always stood out to me that he was that guy. But interestingly enough, he is the grandson of the G in MGM, Goldwyn. He's the grandson.
Damn, that's some money, man. I'm sure that's money, man.
Yeah, like, you know for a fact, no matter what, he's like, I'm going to be in the film industry. They're like, yeah, you are, no matter what.
He's a good actor. I'm not, not.
I was about to say, yeah, he did a good job in this movie, I thought.
Even in Ghost, he was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And dude, Friday 13th Part 6, don't even get me started.
I don't remember that at all. But yeah.
No, but I just, I was like, who is this guy? And I looked him up and I was like, holy shit, he's the G of the MGM. Like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, aside from that, I didn't really recognize too many other people besides, McLovin's girlfriend, Aaron Paul, and then the woman that played Sadie, actually. I have seen her on the show called Garfunkel and Oates on IFC. Have you guys ever heard of that?
No, that sounds funny.
It sounds familiar, but no, I haven't seen it.
It's one of those quirky IFC shows, but I think she plays Garfunkel or whatever, but it's like a folk band. And I didn't recognize her from this the first time I'd seen it.
She reminds me of like off-brand Donna from 70s Show.
Yes,
a little bit.
Crack Donna,
yeah.
Crack Donna.
Yeah. But I don't know. I actually really liked this compared to most other remakes of the time. I thought this one, like, it stuck to the real original plot, kind of heightened a couple things, but didn't, like, I don't know. It didn't do that gore porn thing that I think everything else was at the time. But Will, you being a guy that liked this movie from a young age, how did you feel it compared for a remake?
I agree that it was better than it was weird when when this came out and we were in high school. There were so many different there was like the Friday the 13th remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and basically they kind of just took everything that was good from the originals and just kind of like sterilized it. Like they just took out all the style and all the fun. And this movie, I thought, had its kind of its own distinct thing, but I still like vastly prefer the original. Just in terms of like its style, it's kind of like its sense of humor, I think, is the biggest thing that this movie is missing.
Yeah, I remember like Justin. I don't think that's the same character as the guy from the original. I thought he had a different name, but I remember like the frog thing he would do,
Right.
and he was more funny looking and just funny. And like Justin's more of like a I'm traumatized kind of kid. Like I've been abused for years. And
Yeah,
it kind of takes away like the not humor of it, but like the craziness of it.
yeah, and like the humor, I get like in the original movie too. There's like all of that weird music, that's from like from David Hess, the guy who plays Krug in the original,
Right.
and like it's like kind of like hippie music, and there's like the weird like scenes of the cops chasing like the woman with the chicken that are like funny, and there's like banjo music,
Yeah, like Barney Hill.
Yeah.
and then it's like cut with like
Is there like fast forward scenes and stuff too? There's like
yeah, it's like
like
almost like it's like a three. There's like Three Stooges like sketches like cut in between like rape scenes, and you're like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
hard to do today. Well, very
Yeah,
hard to do today. If you were to
yeah,
put that in this movie, people would be like, "This is horrible." So there's a time and a place for that. I know it was in the '70s.
yeah, exactly. And like that kind of to me that gave the original a little bit more of an edge just in terms of like its uniqueness and kind of I think what it was trying to do.
Mm.
There is like that kind of like split between like horror and comedy and like how similar they are in some ways. And like I thought that this movie didn't really have much of a humorous aspect to it, but it still I thought was better and had its own distinct style. Like compared to a lot of the other remakes. Like I still enjoyed it.
Mm. It's the original one was such like a pioneer of just like disgust and like you had to
Yeah.
see it because it was so gross or whatever. And it's really hard to like artificially capture that again with a remake. I mean,
Hmm.
the original one didn't do well. It wasn't critically acclaimed. It wasn't anything that they were anticipating. But this one, they had expectations. And, it's like somebody that finds a trail, they go down it, and then another person's just like, I'm going to do this, but with gear now and like try and recapture the magic. It's just it's never going to work. But they did better than a lot of other ones.
Yeah, there was a time and a place for the original, and there's a time and a place for this one. And there's one thing I noted that was like very 2009 was the shots of Sarah Paxton, like her changing, her like going,
Yes.
getting ready to go in the water, her climbing up the stairs with her suitcase, and it's just like a shot of her butt. I mean, today those shots don't exist in film. Like maybe Black Widow was the last thing to ever do a butt shot, but like people criticize that shit now, like bad, where you can't just show like that, like loosely. Like there's a sexual orientation behind it, and there's a lot of body shots before any of the bad scenes.
Mm.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing too. Like the scene where she's changing to go swim. I was like, wow, this would not be here. Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah, this would not be in a movie today. It was just like kind of gratuitous. But yeah, I agree.
And it's wild. It's like not even 15 years ago. It's like, what the hell, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so much has changed. This movie kind of like came and went though. I don't know. I mean, Will, you said you hadn't seen it since theaters. I probably only seen it once or twice
No.
since you and I saw it, Eric. But like, I feel like nobody talks about this movie.
this is the second time I've seen it. Obviously, since the first time, it's not a movie you see every.
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh,
Yeah,
I gotta get my last house in the left fix. Like, no, it's a movie you watch once in a blue moon for sure. But
Yeah.
real quick statistics: this movie cost $15 million. It made $46 million. Made its money back.
Mm-hmm.
Rotten Tomatoes score. So the original 63%. This one has a 43 tomato score and a little higher audience score of 52%, but no one was tracking audience scores in the 70s. So I think the old one is more favored overall, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you guys stand? Like, where are your thoughts?
Old one.
Yeah.
One. It's an OG, That's just how it goes. And there's no penis getting bit off in this one. So, I mean, that's where I draw the line, Will.
Yeah. I agree. The original one, it's so gritty. It's like it's so real, and this one's very intense. But yeah, it's the same thing as that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. It's just like it's got the Hollywood gloss on it, so it doesn't have the same grit.
Right.
One thing I do like though about her swimming, I know it's gratuitous that they show her body so much, but I think that added something to her character. But also like she could escape at the end, and it's believable that she could actually swim, and make it back to the house. So I like little things like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, showing the microwave getting fixed. Obviously no one noticed that in the first one, but seeing her also, I remember her swimming away too. So seeing her practice her timing to the buoy, I'm like, oh, that's, she's a fast swimmer.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really think of that until I saw it the second time. But one thing I will say, when you're swimming, like that, go underwater. If you go 3 feet underwater, you're not going to get shot.
Yeah.
I know she's probably so winded at that point and so exhausted, obviously, but like if she just went underwater for just a little bit, they're not going to be, a bullet will stop by the time it hits the water.
No, yeah, you're probably right.
Just if anyone's in that situation, that's all I'm saying. Okay.
Swim under the water, yeah. One thing that we did talk about in the last one, which I just wanted to bring up to you guys. Do you guys remember the trailer for this movie?
I had a note about that, man. Yeah.
No,
you want to go
I
into
don't.
it? You say it first. It's the best part about this movie.
So the trailer,
Sorry, for the remake, right?
yes, for this new one, yeah.
Okay, yes.
So there's a song. It's "Sweet Child of Mine." So it's a remake, but it's by a band called Tree or something, or Talking Tree or something like that. Fuck, I'll look it up. But it is fantastic. It's like a piano acoustic kind of version. Well, it's not acoustic because there's a piano, but it's really, really good. And there's just, I don't know, it's a perfect blend. Eric, back me up here.
I'll say this real quick. It's better than this movie. It's literally it sets up the whole story. Will, it's like it does all this without the Sweet Child of Mine music. It just sets up the story. Like she's buying drugs, they get kidnapped, she gets raped, and then she ends up back on the porch, and it's the dad seeking revenge, and then cue this like really not creepy but like intense version of Sweet Child of Mine, and it pumped me up. And I remember, Alec, you sent me the trailer, and then we were down in Naples. I was like, let's go see this movie, this trailer's fucking awesome. And we did that.
Yeah.
And we kind of were like, the trailer was better than this movie. I remember and also I remember us saying, leaving the theater, why didn't they play the Sweet Child of Mine music at the end credits? Because that song was dope. That was whoever made the trailer, best marketing in my mind.
Yeah, Will, you should definitely check it out. Like, I downloaded the song. I still have it from 2008 on my iPhone or whatever. Like,
Nice.
it's a great song, really good trailer. And there's also, I'll never forget the mom, Monica Potter or whatever. She has this smirk or whatever right after the dad's like, you can't walk anymore. You hear like his voiceover, and then she smirks, and it was like placed so perfectly. And I remember it to this day. I'm like, this is such a good trailer.
It gets you like so pumped for like dad's revenge. And then this one, it kind of loses that dad revenge, where the trailer was all about dad getting revenge, which I thought was like, oh, it pumped me up, you know?
So that was actually one of my biggest complaints about this movie, was that I was hoping, like, I read a little bit after, and like, you know, the director basically was like, yeah, this movie's about how parents can do evil things. And I was like, I kind of wish he leaned into that more.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I was hoping like they would be fucking them up so bad, or like that you'd be like, okay, guys, like you'd be like to the parents, like, guys, stop, like this is fucked up. But you never really got that. It was more like they were like the scenes where they were struggling with Krug and his gang. It was like almost like an equal struggle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Krug was the one saying the shit like, oh, I took your flower, your sweet flower from you. I wanted the dad to be like, you're gonna do that to my daughter, and just like, like I wanted that so badly. Like that,
exactly.
That was pumping me up, like to go see this movie.
Exactly. It would have almost been better if it was like there's the initial struggle between the parents and the father, and then he just wins, and like the last 20 minutes is him just like fucking them up. Like that's kind of what I was. That would have almost been a better movie, and I think more what the director was going for.
Yeah, you could also add the component of like the husband and wife are having a really tough time with their marriage after the son dying, which you didn't really see either. But like him, you know, saving his daughter and getting revenge, like saves the marriage and stuff too. That would be a cool take as well. There's so much more they could have done.
Agreed. They could have leaned into that a lot more, because I actually I just watched the movie like right before we started this today, and like I already forgot that she had a brother, because like they barely mentioned it.
Yeah,
they mentioned it in the beginning, and then it just like they never answer how he passed away, and they never like really leaned into it too much. Like there's like too many balls in the air.
Yeah, and you're right. If they had leaned into that and they were like, okay, they're traumatized and they're like healing from the death of their son, and that's what like, and then they see this happen to their daughter, and they go like absolutely apeshit on these people. Like that would have really made the movie stick out, I think, more than the original.
Yeah, and you get a sense that there was some kind of like thing where they wanted to bring in like the brother, not in like a divine intervention way, but like motivating Mary to swim away, you know, and save herself. I thought that was going to be a part when I rewatched it, but no, it's like they didn't lean into that. If you know what I mean by that, like she's like trying to.
No, totally.
And then the dad like kind of thinks like, you know, this is the brother saving our daughter in some way, kind of like thinking of that. But I mean, there was times when I rolled my eyes at this movie. Like,
yeah,
I didn't roll my eyes in the theater, but this time there's a scene where I think the mom's on the boat with Mary, and Justin's there, the kid who's like kind of helping the family, but like I don't know if I trust this kid. And then all of a sudden, the dad is fighting Krug, and Justin has the gun that the mom had. So I'm like, yeah, he's been helpful, this Justin kid, but would you trust him to give him the gun at this point? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
What other choice do you have though? When he's sitting there with the gun, like in the bedroom or whatever?
Well, how did that scene go? We're in the boat and Justin's like, give me the gun, I'm gonna go kill my dad. It's like, I don't really know you. I kind of trust you. You seem super unstable. Sure, take a gun. That's probably the only way I'm going to save my daughter still.
Oh,
I don't know.
I thought you were talking about when Krug was sleeping and he was sitting down. He had the gun.
That made sense.
Okay.
I like
That's
that.
what I thought
But
you meant.
the scene like towards the end when the dad's fighting Krug,
Right?
remember? And all of a sudden Justin shows up with the gun that the mom had.
Right.
I'm like, so the mom gave you the gun.
Mm-hmm.
You ran up to go. It's like, I don't know if the mom would give the gun to you.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because how do you know he's not just gonna go up and shoot the dad and be like, "Sorry, Krug," like
I changed my mind because I know this family for like 6 minutes, and obviously I was part of this rape group, and I don't know. I wouldn't trust him at all. I'd be the mom, like, get back, like you're not coming on the boat with us.
Right. Get back. You're not coming on the boat.
Thank you for giving us the gun, but you're still a part of this whatever fucked up clan you are.
Yeah.
That kind of leads into something that I was going to ask. So, Eric, I'm loading a gun and I'm holding it to your head, and you have to come up with a sequel now.
A sequel.
A sequel. Wow.
A sequel. You got to come up. There's a gun to your head.
Okay. I got to come up with a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to die.
Cut to opening sequence. The head in the microwave and the dad on the phone. He calls up his best friend and he's like, I need a favor. And his friend's like this super high up lawyer because he's a high up doctor. He has connections, so he has a high up lawyer. And it pretty much turns into the trial of the century kind of movie where somehow it gets misconstrued that the family's in the wrong when they're not in the wrong. And I would love to see that kind of spin with the media today. And I think it would be a cool media piece to see like the family looking like the torturing bad guys. Whereas no, they're family seeking revenge of these bad guys. And like the United States turning against them and stuff. But then ultimately comes down to Justin like saying everything and like more and more. And it all comes down to Justin like saving the day.
Let me add one thing to that.
Sure.
Imagine everything that you just said, and when they're showing the pictures on the news about the people that the parents blew their head up in a microwave, and like we know the context a little bit, but we know the brutality they did to these people. They have another brother. Krug's got another brother.
Yeah, you can add that family aspect into it. Sadie's, sister.
But that's why Justin's not talking, because the other uncle comes in. He's like, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's Robert De Niro from Cape Fear kind of guy, and he comes in and he's just like, Justin, you can't let them do that to your daddy, like sort of thing. And I think we have something here.
I think you can run with it for sure.
Title, Will, you got to come up with a title.
Last Courtroom on the Left. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like the first house on the right. Like, I don't.
I love doing that to Eric, though. I'm just like, you got to come up with a sequel. It's like they all die.
How about the last juror on the left, and like one of like the crazy people becomes the juror. That,
one of the brothers becomes the juror,
and it's a secret thing, and like he like talks to he gets all the other jurors like on his side somehow by smooth talking.
It's like they raped and killed them.
And it just turns into this great 12 Angry Men movie somehow, and no one knows where this came from.
Oh my god. I kind of love that. That's actually
I'd watch that.
Yeah. Just to see where it goes.
This is a hard one to come up with.
You said gun to my head.
I know.
had no other choice.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Thank you. I'm good. I literally didn't even think of that before this podcast.
No. Well, before we wrap up here, Will, do you got any last minute thoughts on Last House on the Left?
Oh, I guess not to compare the two too much, but I think the biggest difference I thought between the two was Krug himself. I think in the original, Krug was this like not really a guy with a plan. He just like really liked raping and killing people. And in this movie, he kind of was more understated, and he kind of seemed to be more like trying to teach like Justin lessons and like other people lessons in his own like fucked up psychotic way. Like he was more like a cult leader in a way. And again, that was another angle I think that they probably should have leaned in more to kind of distinguish itself from the original. But that stuck out watching it for the second time in my head.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, the guy that played Krug, David something Hess or something.
Too good looking, in my opinion.
This guy, yeah, this Garrett Dillahunt. Yeah, the guy that played Krug was just like, you're like, they
Slimier.
found that guy in a jail and they worked something out with like
Yeah, right.
the people that were the warden to get him out. Like, because
Gave him a couple acting lessons in prison, and was like, all right, he's
Yeah.
good enough. Get him out there.
yeah, because that's like all he did was like movies like that, and they're like, so
Right.
that guy was fucked up. But yeah, this Garrett
Right.
Dillahunt guy, dude, I did read he was in a movie with that Sarah Paxton woman before this. So they like knew each other, and apparently, because like, how do you film this and it's not horrible, you know? And
Yeah.
but at
right.
least it was a little bit easier for them because they had known each other previously. I guess that's what they had said at least, but I don't know.
Can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. I did recognize this guy though. He's in No Country for Old Men. Do you guys remember from
Right.
that?
Yeah. Yeah. He's the cop. He's like the kind of like the dumb cop.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, sheriff. Like that guy. Yeah. I loved him in that. Yeah. He always looked like a knockoff Casey Affleck.
I could see it. Yeah.
Kind of see that.
A little
Yeah,
bit.
kinda see
A
that.
little bit.
I got 3 quick things before we take off.
Yeah.
One, leaving the needle in his nose when the power goes off is just savage. That was mean.
Oh, yeah.
With the Jesse Pinkman, and he's just like, hey, don't move. It's like he was gone for like 30 seconds. This guy has a needle like in his nose. I thought that was brutal. Also, dying with your boobs out, or just like, I'm thinking of like my penis hanging out and just dying, and like it just sucks. Like the Sadie girl dies like with her boobs out, and they show her like we saw her boobs like 5 separate times in this movie, but like dying that way sucks. And like with your penis hanging out, I was thinking like, man, like I hope I never get found like a little cold guy with like 0 blood flow. Like, look at that little fella. Look at that little fella hanging out there. I hope I don't die like that.
I just love you sitting there, Eric. You're like, should.
Yeah, I was thinking, man,
Dead
that's all I do
movie.
watching these movies. I had one other thing I wanted to say, I forgot, but yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. I think this one, if they give it another maybe like 10 years, I bet they could redo it again and maybe try some of the things that we were discussing here just to, I don't know, retain some of the original grittiness, but also beef it up a little more.
It's even tougher to do today, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Terrifier is a great example of the gore that still exists, but like to do this is like, it's just tough. It's a tough movie.
Yeah.
Like murder's one thing, but like rape, yeah, it's like it's hard to do that today.
Rape while watching your friend die, which also, that was the other thing I was saying, like getting stabbed. Like, I don't believe that's stabbing at all. Like, if you're stabbed, you are like tweaking out, like, and gasping for air if you're stabbed. And she was just like, what was that? Was that a little tickle? Like, I didn't believe that at all.
It looked real, though. God.
It does make you want to look away, though, which I think was the point of how they shot it.
Yeah. It was brutal.
I actually fast forward to some of the rape scene. I was like, I didn't want to watch it. So I literally, and I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, me too.
Same with me.
It skipped ahead 30 seconds, so I kind of missed that whole scene. I just didn't want to watch it, so I skipped ahead, and then like it ended, and yeah, moved on.
It's more intense than the original one. It's so unsettling.
I remember the original one having like a lesbian scene too, where they
Yeah.
like made them kiss each other and stuff. They kept that out of this one, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, because like that was the thing. I mean, this was produced by a major studio and released nationwide and worldwide with the intention of that.
You can feel the executive coming down on this movie, and like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And the director, like, come on, man, like let's do this. No, you could feel it in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. Nobody needs to see that, but what it does is it just adds the real gravity to the disgustingness of what they are. Is when they show it. I mean, if it's implied, I'm not saying I want to see it, but it hurts their. I don't know. You won't hate them as much if you don't see it, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'll just end with this too. The Jeffrey Dahmer show. That's an example of a show that like is insane, and they did it. And anything can exist if that exists, in my mind.
That's a good point. Well, anybody got any last minute thoughts?
That's it for me.
I'm good.
All right. Well, Will, thank you so much. We're gonna bring you back for another movie that's not just Last House on the Left.
Yeah, no, thanks. It was fun.
You're more than Last House on the Left. You're more than that.
Yeah, so we'll probably throw Audition. We're about to start a new wheel, but we'll throw Audition on an upcoming wheel, and we'll get you back on, sooner than 2 years.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
And it's just great keeping in touch with you, Will. I love this.
For sure, man. Yeah, you too, guys.
All right, well, we do not have a wheel to spin this week because this is the end of our wheel. This is the last wheel on the left. So we're actually going to start
The last wheel on the left? Good for you. Look at you.
We're going
so
to start a new one. And it's actually kind of interesting. This is the first time we've ever done this. We're going to do a topic. So It's not a movie, but Eric, myself, and the fabulous Joe Testa are going to be back next week, and we're going to be debating what the best year in horror is. Okay, so there can only be one year. We're all going to debate, and by the end, we're all going to have to agree on one year, given the cases that we make. So if you want to come up with your own theories, you can follow the conversation on Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff. But we're going to have a definitive year for you next week, the best year in horror. So get ready for that. So thanks again, Will, and thank you all for listening in.
Thank you.
Woo!